everyone, I hope you're well. I hope you had a wonderful week. I'm filming this on a Sunday. I personally spent a good portion of last week just going through resumes, cover letters, and interviewing students for a position at my own legal practice. And through that process, I saw a lot of mistakes. And so in this video, I'm going to go through a few common mistakes law students make when applying for legal internships, whether it be at a law firm, at a nonprofit, in-house, you name it. And I'll be making another video about interview mistakes and post-interview mistakes, so subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell if you'd like to be notified when that video goes live. If you're new here, hi, I'm Aisha. I am a lawyer and entrepreneur based in Montreal, Canada, and I make videos about productivity, about entrepreneurship, law school, becoming a lawyer, and a variety of other topics. So the first mistake a lot of students made before I even received their cover letters or resumes was not following instructions. You have to keep in mind that the people reviewing your applications often have a lot of other things to do. And so it is really frustrating when we get applications to the wrong email address, when applications have missing documents, when applications are sent past the deadline that was mentioned in the job posting. So, pretty basic, but please, before sending in your application, just take the time to make sure that you have followed all of the instructions in the job posting. If something isn't clear, please do not hesitate to ask questions. Following instructions is one of those things that, if you do it, no one's really going to think about it, but if you don't do it, then people will definitely notice. The second mistake that I saw a lot of law students make was just not having proper etiquette. And it saddens me that I even have to mention this, to be honest with you. But I think it's important to remember that the people in charge of receiving your applications are people too. And we all as people have different things that annoy us to various degrees, but I do believe that certain behaviors and mistakes are just generally upsetting for most people. One that I saw quite a few times was receiving an email that was clearly copy-pasted. That's the first mistake. You should always tailor your emails to every single job that you are applying to. But also, applicants would forget to change the name of the law firm / lawyer that they were sending it to. So I would receive emails saying, I would love to have the opportunity to work alongside Maître Dubois, whereas my last name is Maître Tori, and I don't work with anyone named Maître Dubois. The second basic etiquette mistake that I saw, and I'm really hoping this is not a general thing, was getting messages about the job posting and the position that was open through my personal Facebook account. And I think this would be the right opportunity to discuss boundaries when it comes to contacting lawyers who have a social media presence, because it is becoming more and more common. Please don't find lawyers' personal social media profiles and then message them on there about professional stuff. Just don't do it. Not only is it annoying because, to go back to mistake number one, it makes me think that you can't follow instructions, but also, it's a little creepy. And I always say, we all stalk, we all do it, that's okay, but I don't want to know about it. So I urge you as a law student to just take a few seconds to think, is it appropriate for me to be sending a message to that account? Is this a private account? Are there more appropriate ways for me to reach out to these individuals that I would eventually like to work with? Another important thing in relation to etiquette would be just considering people's time. If you have questions about a position, ideally ask them before you apply for that position, meaning before someone takes the time to go through your resume, your cover letter, and to actually schedule an interview with you. And this is something that happened to me a few times. As I said, we're all busy. Interviewing a lot of times is just another task that gets added on top of all of the other tasks that we have to do. So please, if you have any questions about the nature of the work, about the hours, if anything wasn't clear in the job posting, which, happens, just ask them before you actually apply. And that also allows you not to waste time on a position that might not be what you're looking for. All right, so let's get into actual resumes and cover letters. The third mistake that I saw a lot was not tailoring your resume and your cover letter to the job that you're applying to. What I'm about to say is very important. You should not be sending the same resume and the same cover letter to everyone. You want the content of your resume and of your cover letter to be relevant to the position that you're applying to. And that necessarily means changing up a few things here and there. A few tips to do this. Remember that you don't have to include all of your experiences and all of your hobbies in your resume every single time. Some things are going to be more relevant to the position than others, and that is completely okay. What I used to do back in the day is I created a sort of complete resume. So I created a resume with just everything, all of my hobbies, all of my experiences, every single thing I have ever done, an in-depth look at my education, things that maybe stand out, everything I ever wrote. And then whenever I would apply for a position, I would copy that complete resume, I would paste it, and then I would remove everything that wasn't relevant to the position that I was applying to. Everything that wasn't relevant, everything that didn't allow me to show why I was a good candidate for that position, I removed. Then I would go through my resume again, the newer version of my resume, and I would try to connect every single thing in my resume to the job posting. So in the job posting, if it said, we're looking for someone with great writing skills, I would make sure that there was something in my resume and in my cover letter that showed that I had great writing skills. If it said we're looking for someone who's organized, then I would make sure that there was something in my application that showed how organized I was. By the way, I used to get really, really good feedback on my resume and on my cover letter back when I was in law school, and everything that I learned, I learned from Lauren Berger, aka the Intern Queen. And when I was, scripting this video, I realized that she still uploads videos on her channel, so I am going to link to it in the description. It is a great resource. That's where I learned every single thing that I know about, writing resumes and cover letters. And I used to get really good feedback about them. So go check it out. The third mistake that I saw a lot, and honestly this was probably the mistake that I saw the most, was people telling me but not showing me. So I work with creatives, I more specifically work in the entertainment industry, in the visual arts industry, I work in the fashion industry, and the tech industry, and I would keep seeing cover letters with statements along the lines of, I've always had a passion for arts, or I've always had a passion for the entertainment industry. But then I would look at the resume, and there was absolutely nothing that allowed me to verify whether or not that statement was factual. You have to keep in mind that people go through so many cover letters and so many resumes, and to be honest, at the end of the day, it gets really repetitive. So it's a really good idea to take the time to give some examples that make those who are reviewing your application understand why you would be a good candidate. For instance, if you're trying to show me that you have an interest in a certain field, tell me, have you taken classes that relate to the position that you are applying for? If so, mention it. Mention it in the education portion of your resume. Do you have any hobbies that relate to the position? If so, once again, mention it. Have you written any papers that relate to the position? Even if you don't show me the papers, I want to know about it. And in this case, I really do believe that thinking out of the box can be very rewarding. I used to write a lot when I was in law school. I loved research. I used to write articles online. I took a lot of classes where I had to draft papers because I was really bad at taking exams, and so I decided to focus on something that I was actually good at, which was writing papers. And so in my resume, I used to, and I actually still do, even if I haven't sent out a resume in a very long time, I used to have a section that was called research and articles or something along those lines, and I would list every single thing that I have ever written that related to the position that I was interested in. Whether that be things that they could easily consult online, research papers that I had to write in class, research papers that I had to draft for a professor in particular, everything I could include in there, I included. Not only does it actually show your interests in a more precise way, but it also gives interviewers something to discuss during the interview. So whenever you make a statement in your cover letter, look at your resume and think, how can I show the person who will be reviewing my application that what I'm saying is actually true? Because I can guarantee you, you are not the only one making that statement. And that leads me to the fourth mistake that I often saw, which is being too vague. Yes, as I said, I want you to show me instead of just telling me but I also want precision. So let's say you were VP of events for X student association. Great, you organized events. How many events did you organize? What was the turnout like? You want to show me that you are extremely responsible by telling me that you used to manage the budget for, X student association. Awesome. How big was the budget? It's easier for recruiters and other people who are reviewing your applications to actually evaluate the quality of your application when they can see measurable accomplishments. Quantified things helps you stand out amongst other applicants. So before sending out your application, please take the time to go through every single statement that you are making on your resume and think, is there a way for me to be more precise? Is there a way for me to actually quantify everything that I have accomplished throughout the various experiences that I've had? And the sixth and last mistake that I often saw was assuming that non-legal experience is not relevant nor interesting. And this is one that I found extremely annoying. I've actually mentioned this in a previous video about how to get relevant work experience as a law student. I will link to it in the cards up there, but also in the description. But not everything you do has to be directly related to the law in order for it to be relevant. I remember when conducting interviews that students would sometimes bring up things that I thought were super interesting, but that were nowhere to be found on the resume. And that made me quite sad because it made me think, how many applications am I missing out on simply because students assumed that some interesting things about themselves weren't worth including in the resume or in their cover letters? You know how they say people only spend 6 to 7 seconds on your application? I used to think that was an exaggeration until I had to do it myself, and it is true. So if there's something about you that is going to catch a recruiter's eyes, mention it. You were a national boxing champion? Mention it. You took a programming class in uni? I want to know about it. You like to cook 6-course meals in your free time? Like, please tell me more. Not only is it a really good way to distinguish yourself from other applicants, but it might also be something that allows you to connect more with the person that you'll be interviewing with. So please do not hesitate to include your non-law related interests, because we're fully aware of the fact that you're not reading civil procedure books for fun in your spare time. But also take the time to think about how your non-legal experience might actually make you a good candidate for the position. That is it for this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you did, please do not hesitate to leave it a thumbs up and to subscribe, and I will be seeing you very soon with another video. Bye!